Fellas, I think this may be a problem. Now, normally I do not sound the alarm for nerfs, but I realized last night when laying down, going to sleep, I could literally hear the sound of the SMG Immortal going off constantly. Everywhere I look, whether it's 6v6, Rumble, Trials of Osiris, I am seeing this SMG everywhere. And before some tryhard comes in here and says, Cross, you're only complaining about this right now because you don't have the God roll. Oh, really? Yeah, you like that? Shabam! Just in case, right? If Bungie does end up nerfing Rangefinder. However, I do want to talk about this because I have never seen a weapon rise to the meta as quickly as this one right here. At the recording of this video, the Adept Immortal is sitting at roughly 8 million kills for the weekend, which is insanity. Now, a lot of people look at that number and go, oh, wow, that's a lot. What they fail to realize afterwards, though, is that that is just the Adept version. Just a few rows down is the regular Immortal. So no, it's not just the roughly 8 million kills from the Immortal Adept. It's that weapon plus the regular version. And that really shows you how skewed the numbers are across the board. The Immortal has risen to a height of meta that I have never seen before. It puts the H, and I mean capital H, in meta. The last time I saw a weapon so used, so common, was Clever Dragon. The difference is that Clever Dragon, all you had to do was play Iron Better, and you got a Clever Dragon. It was a rapid fire pulse rifle. Everybody had it. You got a stock roll of it. Pretty much right out the gate, it was good, and Bungie gave you a free one. The Immortal, you have to earn. And honestly, guys, y'all have knocked it out of the park. More people played Trials of Osiris this weekend than they have in almost the past 2 years. The last time we had this many people playing was after the Trials of Osiris revamped occurred back in 2021. Now I know there's a lot of things contributing to this. Fire team-based matchmaking, the ability to farm adept loot. We're also coming off the back of a new expansion. Strand, surprisingly, is balanced inside of PvP. So for the most part, people are enjoying PvP for now. But obviously the biggest contributor to everyone playing Trials this weekend is the SMG. We are well over 500,000 players this weekend, which I would argue and say is one of the best trial weekends we have ever had, coming off of an annual expansion. Now let's get back on topic, because despite how good the numbers may look there, this SMG, amongst some other things in Destiny right now, are a problem. Power creep is not something that just exists inside of PvE. Oh no, we got it inside of PvP. Today I'm going to be bringing all this up, and I actually want to start with Immortal. And I know there's going to be some people in the comment section right now saying, Cross, I literally sacrificed my firstborn to obtain this God roll Immortal SMG, and now you're telling me it should get nerfed. Yes, I am. I'm saying it's too much, guys. It's too much. The Immortal is way too hot. It is everywhere. And as much as I love using this SMG, it is 1000% a problem, especially if you look at the overall health of the meta. But it's not just the Immortal. I would argue and say it's pretty much the top 3 aggressive SMGs. You've got the Icolos SMG, which by the way is just behind the Immortal there. You've got Terrorizing, which has been nerfed already, and we know it's going to get nerfed again. And then we have the Immortal, which honestly goes beyond any of these. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Icolos and I like Terrorizing. And Terrorizing 6v6 is still fantastic with Ravenous Beast. But we did our review the other day with Immortal, and the fact that it can reach a TTK value of 0.56 seconds is crazy. Guys, 0.56 seconds, and all you have to do is aim and shoot. It's not kill activated. It's simply you aiming and shooting in every engagement, holding down the trigger, and amping up your damage. But let me just say this. That's not all. The Immortal SMG, even without target lock, would still be a phenomenal SMG, if not the best. Like today, we're rocking target lock. But if Bungie came out tomorrow and said, all right, we're nerfing target lock, dude, we'll just throw on kill clip, tap the trigger, hell, even killing wind. This SMG by default is already fantastic. And that's primarily because it can reach almost up to 26 meters. And listen, it's not the only one that can reach that far. Shiora, even after its nerfs, can reach up that far. And you start to see an issue here where these SMGs completely invade auto rifle territory to the point where there's really no reason to run an auto rifle. Whether it's a 600, a 720, it don't matter. These SMGs outperform auto rifles, making those weapons irrelevant. But now, Immortal is really just making every weapon irrelevant. Now, I have seen this before, guys. Clever Dragon, Prometheus Lens, the brief period of time where Hard Light was meta, but normally those metas took a little bit to get to. The fact that this has taken us a mere 3 days and suddenly, bam, we are here. We are looking at the new meta. That's wow. That shows you right there how strong this SMG actually is. Now, a couple ways we can address this. Either A, we go through there and slash the damage, which in my opinion really goes against the identity of what an SMG is supposed to be, a short-range shredder. And considering that these are aggressive frame SMGs, that's exactly what they're supposed to be, is a short-range shredder. So I think attacking the damage is the wrong direction here unless we're looking to just kill this weapon and all of these SMGs. And if you think Bungie won't go in there and kill all SMGs, think again, my man. Do you see us rocking glaive builds right now? Did you see what they just did to Syntheseps? But Cross, I don't even use Syntheseps with my glaive build. Honestly, I envy you. I wish I never never used a glaive with syntheseps, as now I have to live with the pain of knowing we will never go back to that. SMGs though, guys, it needs a range nerf. Really. For the sake of auto rifles, for the sake of other weapons. And before somebody jumps in here and says, Cross, no, we should just buff the range of every other weapon. Look, we have gone down that path. We have had 600 round per minute auto rifles reach insane ranges in that 35+ meter territory. We've had hand cannons like 120s reach up to 44, 45 meters. The reality is, based on the rotation of maps we currently have in the game, the balance we have struck with every other weapon is actually pretty good. Like really, we're there. This is the last holdout. Now the question is, how soon can Bungie address this? Now stated from Bungie on Destiny 2 team, this was last Friday. Happy Friday. We're seeing some conversation about weapon changes. We've got a balance pass coming for primary weapons and PvE in the mid-season patch. That doesn't include nerfing SMGs, which is something we're seeing a lot of talk about. We'll have more information in the end of the month TWAB. Now just to clarify some of the comments, we are not nerfing SMGs in PvE to bring them into parity with other weapons. We are buffing other weapons. We will be addressing the Ikelos and Terrible SMGs separately with the PvP focus changes. Now keep in mind, this was right before Trials launch and right before the Immortal was literally taking over everything inside of Crucible. And don't get me wrong, guys, I love using this weapon. I love shredding target after target after target with it. It is addicting, but it is a problem. And this problem is only going to snowball more and more as this season goes on, to the point that I actually think Bungie doesn't need to wait until next season to nerf SMGs. I think this is something that needs to be addressed in the mid-season patch, which would be April. Now, last thing that I would say, outside of just addressing the range on these SMGs, Rangefinder should never drop on an SMG ever again. That perk is a problem. It's always been a problem on so many different weapons. Even though I love it, I enjoy Rangefinder. Trust me, guys, I do love it. However, for SMGs, it's a problem. It breaks the archetypes. You can't go in there and nerf the range and still leave things like Rangefinder on it and expect things to be a-okay. Because Bungie's gonna take the top and squeeze it down. And if you're taking the top of where this SMG is, sure, after the sandbox changes go live, the Immortal SMG is still gonna be usable, but all the SMGs that don't have Rangefinder are gonna be severely hurt. Now, what Bungie could do is what they've actually done here recently. They had an SMG change last season, which involved them buffing the lower range SMGs, but lowering the efficacy of max range on SMGs to bring all SMGs more in line. If you got that out of bounds roll that never got that max range, no problem. Bungie helped you out. At the same time, you could still get out of bounds with Rangefinder, which, keep in mind, Rangefinder roughly adds on for free like an extra 2 meters. Personally, guys, I just feel like there should be almost a hard cap for SMGs. Now the question is, what should that range be? Well, it should definitely depend on the archetype. Considering our precision SMGs really don't have the best TTK value, I think the range should be the best range, but it still should be capped out at about 22.5 meters, which means aggressives, lightweights, and even adaptives, those SMGs should be capping out no more than 20 meters. That way you are truly being forced to close the gap. These weapons are being uncontested, and SMGs were already the meta. Like, they were already a problem. This right here, though, with Immortal, really just brings it front and center for everybody to see. Again, I know you're gonna dislike me for saying this. I know there's some people in here that hate to hear the nerf word, but when 90% of your lobbies is using this one weapon, it's an issue. Now, speaking about issues, I'm gonna bring up another issue that I have. Actually, 2 more. Number 1, you've probably already seen it. You may have even played up against it this past weekend. Double Firebolt grenades inside of PvP. Now, you can avoid this, but against multiple people rocking this same build, what happens is you get hit with 2 Firebolt grenades, and even if you do pop a rift or you find some means of recovery, an ignition will still go off, resulting in you and everyone around you dying. Now, this was not an issue before because we didn't have this artifact mod right here, which gave us double Firebolt nades. Honestly, guys, this is such an easy fix. I don't think anyone would bat an eye if artifact mods were disabled inside of Trials, as well as the competitive playlist. Everywhere else, it really doesn't bother me. Like, I like to have a good time. Energy Accelerant was like meta for all of like a couple weeks, where Telesta was literally running around 3-bolting everybody. Dude, it was the funnest time of my life. Obviously, that's busted inside of Trials, but inside of regular Crucible, I think that's completely fine. For the most part, it's really only an issue when multiple people on the opposing team is rocking this setup, this build, which resulted in many of us on the initial rounds of Trials this past weekend literally just constantly dodging or running away from these Firebolt nades. Again, you get tagged by them twice, boom, there goes the ignition, you're dead. The last thing that's still a problem, and this has been a problem since the beginning of Destiny 2, and you guys aren't gonna like this, but I figure if I'm gonna piss some of you off right now, I might as well piss everyone off. That is melee boosting exotics. Now, I'm not saying melee damage, I'm talking melee range. Melee range boosting exotics have always been a problem because inside of Destiny, our servers cannot handle the amount of rubber banding. Now, what does that include? That includes things like syntheseps, Ophidian aspects, knockout, especially considering that doesn't even require an exotic. These exotics are a problem because you just can't keep up with the enemy that decides to run in there and double melee you. Sure, you could turn around and shotgun them, but if you don't have any shotgun ammo, considering our ammo economy inside of Crucible, now you're just in a slapboxing fight, which if you don't have the appropriate exotic or rocking the right subclass, you're gonna get messed up. Honestly, guys, melee registration in the game has always been an issue. Everything from melee whiffs to melee and pass enemies to rubber banding all over the screen, it has always been a problem. And quite honestly, when you actually look at it from the side, when you see someone melee from this range, like literally watching Ophidian Aspects or Syntheseps or even Knockout, when you see this from the side and you see the crazy amount of range that these melees grant you, you can't sit there and say, this is all right. It's not, which takes me to the focal point of this video. With all of these things being said, these being the outliers and the problems that I've seen inside of Crucible, and I know we have some other things that folks complain about, whether it's high impact pulse rifles, lightning surge on warlocks, maybe you hate love Monarch. Sure, don't get me wrong, those things are definitely annoying. But do you want to know one way in which you can counter the SMG meta? Do you want to also know a way in which you can counter these double fisting, melee boosting exotics and subclasses? Honestly, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm just throwing it out there. Activating scavenger perks inside of PvP. I know, sounds crazy, but hold up, just think about it. A few weeks ago, when Lightfall launched, scavenger perks were suddenly working inside of PvP. And what I noticed across the board was PvP players were actually happy. You fuckers were actually satisfied. So much so, y'all didn't even say a word. Y'all kept that stuff hush hush. Like I had to find that out on my own. No lie, guys, having more special weapons available would counter literally SMGs, would counter those double meleeing warlocks or titans, would promote a more aggressive PvP environment. It would, primarily because you'll have a shotgun going up your bunghole. Now, you probably don't like that. I don't either. However, it is a counter. I think Bungie has struck a balance though within Crucible that they're not going to revert the ammo changes as much as some of you may want. I think they're going to go in there and take care of SMGs, and then we're going to see where the meta sits afterwards. And as far as melee boosting exotics, I don't know if that will ever be addressed. That's pretty much what gives value to those exotics. Either way it goes, guys, I just wanted to give y'all my perspective on where PvP is now and what the major outliers are to me. And these are my three. Artifact mods, primarily being enabled inside of Trials, SMG range, primarily on aggressives, and range melee boosting exotics / subclasses. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And again, if this actually does get nerfed or any of these things get nerfed, feel free to bring all of your hate and frustration straight here. I also have a Twitter, so you can directly at me with your toxicity, or you can come by our stream and just spew it there live. We'll be live actually all day inside of Iron Banner, rocking nothing but Immortal SMGs, double Firebolt grenades with Ophidians. Come join us. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.